Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the privilege stacking series. And in this episode, I want to talk about brown slash dark skinned privilege. I don't tend to use the term brown skin, I tend to call brown skinned people dark skin. But this video is for my dark skinned exoticals. Okay. So we voted on Fenty shades 390 and above being light skin. And then anything darker than that, we consider it to be brown slash dark skin. So let's talk about what dark skin privilege actually is. Because believe it or not, there are privileges that come with every single complexion. There's privilege that comes with being white, passing, or having a white skin tone. There's privilege that comes with quote unquote light skin or what I call universal brown. And then there's also a privilege that comes with being dark skinned. So, number one, anti aging benefits. There's a reason why people say black don't crack. Look at Angela Bassett, for example. She is so pretty to me. She looks like how I imagined Pocahontas to look when I was a little kid. Number two is exoticism. I actually believe that dark skin tones have the most exotic privilege when it comes to their complexion because their skin tones are rare. So if you're a dark skinned exotical, you actually have an extremely rare phenotype. Think of like Jasmine Tooks. Think of like Tatiana Ali or women that they can tan to like being dark skinned. You have an extremely rare phenotype. Think about the women who are dark skinned and they have curly hair, or like Ethiopian women, kind of like those horn African phenotypes. Think of Somali women, Eritrean women, and Ethiopian women. So you've got a combination of these keen features coupled with a dark skin tone. That is one of the rare skin tones. So dark skin actually has the most exotic privilege, or they can use exoticism to their advantage. Also, I want to talk about the positive stereotypes associated with dark skin tones. I tend to associate dark skin with athleticism, exoticism, and elegance because a lot of high fashion editorial models are dark skinned. And I think part of this is due to exotic privilege that comes with being dark skinned. Your skin tone is naturally associated with elegance. Let's say you're tall and like slim and you have like beautiful high cheekbones or something. People are going to stereotype you as being a model. And if you're a dark skinned exotical, comment down below. I'm sure you've probably experienced this. Have you ever noticed that when there's a dark skinned pretty girl, people always say she looks like Naomi Campbell or some other supermodel? It's because of that positive stereotype that actually comes with dark skin. They are associated with high fashion modeling. And it's because the editorial fashion industry tends to feature models with this ebony, chocolatey complexion. So that's actually a part of dark skin privilege. People associate your skin tone with high fashion and elegance and art. Number four, you can easily blend in with Black communities. If you are dark skinned and you walk into a room full of dark skinned people, you can blend in easier than a light skinned person. People tend to associate dark skin tones with blackness, so much so to the point where they will even call Indians or natives black. So I don't necessarily agree with that, like at all. But people associate chocolate skin with blackness. So if you're a dark skinned woman and you walk into a room full of dark skinned black people, you can blend in more easy. So as a dark skinned exotical, you can use this to your advantage and make money in the black community. Look at Justine Skye, look at Ryan Destiny, look at Bernice Burgos. All of those women are dark skinned mixed women who utilized their dark skin tone to blend in with dark skinned black women, and they use that to get that dark skinned black beauty pedestal. So if you're a dark skinned exotical, you are usually going to be the standard of beauty for a lot of dark skinned, unambiguous black women, or at least you will be a part of their beauty standard. Exoticals will always be a part of the black beauty standard. Do not allow them to lie to you on YouTube and pretend like Bernice Burgos and Tatiana Ali and Ryan Destiny are not pretty. They're liars. You, as a dark skinned exotical, if you look like any of those women, if you're Ethiopian, if you're Eritrean, or you have a Somali background, you absolutely are a part of the dark skinned black community's beauty standard. Another one is if you happen to date black guys, like in terms of the male gaze, you do have privilege in that area because usually if a dark skinned black man or if somebody who prefers dark skinned women talks about that, usually they're talking about you. Like those guys that say, "Oh, I prefer a dark-skinned woman." Okay, yeah, he prefers Bernice Burgos, Tatiana Ali, he prefers Chili from TLC, he prefers an Ethiopian woman, he prefers a Somali woman, or he prefers an Eritrean woman. All of those women are a part of this community. So you are usually going to be the dark-skinned preference if you, care about that. Number 6, dark-skinned women have an advantage of being heard in social justice and activism spaces. A lot of dark skinned women have unfortunately exploited this and used this to their advantage to become rich, but that's another topic. But as a dark skinned woman, people are more likely to listen to you because they know that your skin tone community is marginalized. People literally associate your skin tone with activism and social justice. So I know that a lot of black women don't like that, but I think that if you know how to social climb, you can very easily use that to your advantage. Why would you not use that to your advantage? A lot of people are like, "Oh, no, skin tones are not political." Okay, well, yeah, they're not supposed to be political, but because of you guys and because of how you guys have behaved historically, the Black Panther movement, colorism channels, and your participation in kind of muling for black men or whatever, I actually think that something positive came out of that, which is that now you are more likely to be heard in activism spaces. Okay, so some people in the dark skinned community have used this to become millionaires. Think of the Black Lives Matter movement, think of the Black Panther movement, think of the colorism channels. When you speak about isms, people are more likely to listen to you. They're more likely to defend you. The exotical space, kind of like me speaking from a quote unquote light skinned perspective, this is actually a fringe kind of like a subculture within a larger culture. So dark skin tones and dark skinned people are the dominant group within the black community and within the black activism spaces as well, or just within activism in general. When people think of social justice or diversity or whatever, usually there's going to be some sort of dark skinned woman who is the voice for people within that group. So this is actually a privilege that dark skinned women set up for themselves. So you can use that to your advantage. If you don't want to be a social justice person, you don't have to. But if you do, then you can absolutely use that to your advantage. Number 7, lust and sexual privilege. Just like how some people lust after light skin tones, they lust after dark skin tones as well. So for men, there's the BBC stereotype. For women, there's the stereotype of having that nice body. There's the stereotype of being sexual, like a Jezebel, if you want to play into that. Some of you guys are Christian, so you don't like that. But this channel talks about dark femininity and stuff. But you can use that seduction to your advantage. People definitely associate dark skin tones with seduction. Okay, they even have terminologies for it like sexy chocolate or like sexual chocolate. So if you're an ex worker or if you want to get paid off of that, you can. Just being honest. Number 8, black privilege. Yes, I do believe in the concept of black privilege. Every racial group has advantages and disadvantages. Let's talk about black privilege. We already know that the black community as a whole is stereotyped as being extremely talented, athletic, and creative. People say that others steal from dark skinned black women. That is how far your talent, creative, and athletic privilege go. It's to the point where literally anything a light skinned person does, people are like, "Oh, Beyonce stole that from a dark skinned woman. Oh, Rihanna stole that from a dark skinned woman. Oh, everything they did was stolen from dark skinned women." But that's actually proof that you, as a dark skinned person, you actually do have that privilege of people associating your people group with being creative, talented, and athletic. So that's a positive subconscious stereotype that you can use to your advantage. I've actually seen a lot of dark skinned women play into this. They will play into kind of that boho aesthetic, kind of that creativity. I'm thinking of women like India Ari. There are so many women who have actually created an entire brand off of their skin tone identity and the positive stereotypes associated with their complexion. So I do believe that there is a subconscious belief in society, or at least in the black community, that dark skinned people are very creative and very like artsy. You can play into that artsy creative stereotype because you know how people say, oh, everybody came from the black woman, or like you're the blueprint or whatever. I know that the Ethiopian exoticals are going to comment down below and you guys are going to be like, Ethiopians are the first people. Okay, well, you know what I mean. People do have a subconscious stereotype that all of creation actually came from dark skinned people. So I have seen some dark skinned people using that creativity stereotype to their advantage or tapping into that. If you believe in kind of like a spiritual connection with your background or something, you can actually tap into that. That is absolutely a positive advantage and a positive stereotype. Number eight, type 4 hair extensions and afros look effortless on you, or at least they would look more effortless. It blends well with your phenotype because it actually is connected to your phenotype. So if I wear a type 4, actually, I've never been able to really wear, I've never worn like box braids and locks, like faux locks and stuff. It doesn't look quite as effortless on me because my hair texture, it just doesn't match very well. But for dark skinned women, people more closely associate dark skin tones with afro hair. And so afro extensions or afrocentric hair extensions are definitely going to look effortless on you. So if you're a dark skinned exotical, you're probably going to look super effortless and you can actually play into your exoticism even more probably with braids or like faux locks or something or with some sort of type 4 poofy afro look. Number 8, people are less likely to question your blackness or whether you are black enough. If someone has a white passing skin tone, they're more likely to be questioned, for example. They're more likely to be questioned about whether they fit into blackness. But if you're dark skin, you can more easily blend in because of your chocolate skin tone. So you don't receive as much questioning. You have unquestionable blackness that is literally showing up on the biggest organ on your body, which is your skin tone. So you don't have to worry as much. You have more fluidity. You're going to have a little bit more fluidity in the dark skin black community because you literally have closer proximity to their skin tones. The black community emphasizes skin tone. So, as a woman who has a quote unquote unambiguous black skin tone, you can more easily flow into the black community. Now, I will say the thing is, people will try to make it harder for you to flow out of the black community, but this channel makes it easier for you because I accept and embrace my dark skin counterparts because anybody who's actually mixed knows that you can be dark skinned and mixed. You can also be dark skinned and benefit from an ism, whether it's colorism, texturism, or featureism. I think I'm on number 9 now. Your tans always look good. It just blends in perfectly. Okay, so you get a perfect tan. You don't have to worry like how light skinned people do, where it's like, oh shit, you got red. I remember one time I tried so hard. Okay, so I was trying to go for the Pocahontas aesthetic. I was trying to get as dark as possible. I literally was staying out in the sun. I was like, let me see if I can try to make it to some sort of deep caramel, try to make it as close to like a cocoa as possible, or maybe like a bronze if I can. I tried so hard to get a tan and my skin literally just ripped off. It literally just it started peeling off, it turned red, it would not tan past a certain point. But if you are already dark skinned, you've already got that base of melanin, your tans are going to look good. It's going to blend in perfectly. You don't have the same problem that a lot of lighter people have where it's like, okay, one part of you is yellow, the next part's red, then it's bronze, then it's caramel, then it's brown. Then you've got brown spots, you've got purple spots, you can see your veins underneath your skin. You don't have all of those all of those skin issues. So your tans are always going to look good. And even if you like lose your tan, you still have melanin and you still have kind of a generally smooth complexion. The only thing that I've really heard of dark skinned people suffering from is maybe like some sort of hyperpigmentation, but that's different than having a combination of hyperpigmentation, rosacea, sunburns, peeling. Different parts of your skin have like different complexions. You've got super extreme tan lines. Another thing that I put on my notes is you can wear African hairstyles without it looking like a costume. So I have noticed sometimes when light skinned people or like white passing mixed people wear certain African, whether it's African garments or something where you're trying to be Afrocentric, sometimes it does look costumey. I am going to be honest, because even on myself, there are certain limits where I just don't go past those limits. Um, but you don't have to worry about things looking costumey on you, especially if you're embracing your African heritage or if you're from Jamaica or something like that. It just doesn't look as costumey. Another subconscious stereotype that I have noticed people have about dark skinned people is a lot of people associate you guys with kind of being carefree, because whenever I look at marketing and advertisements of like the beach or like going on vacation or going to all of these exotic places, like all of these exotic islands, anytime there's some sort of vacation advertisement for some sort of island, they tend to show a dark skinned person. People associate dark skin tones with like being out in the sun, kind of being carefree, being tanned, being leisurely. So you can actually and actually that leisurely stereotype has become so prevalent to the point where people actually associate it with being lazy. So the privilege became so high to the point where people started you started experiencing a downside of it. Kind of like pretty privilege where if people associate you with being too pretty, then they start saying you're self-absorbed. People do actually have this positive stereotype of darker skin tones being associated with leisure and like vacationing and like being on the beach and just being out in the sun and just like kind of I think it has to do with the melanin, obviously, because if you have melanin, you can naturally, like, absorb the sun versus, like, reflecting back the sun like how a light-skinned person would do. But if you're a dark-skinned exotical and you want to discuss any more of your dark-skin privileges, please let me know. Obviously, my information on this is limited because I'm not a dark-skinned person, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.